You probably stumbled upon this video when you're wondering what life is really like in Japan, and I'm here to tell you today because as a person that has lived here for almost 2 years, worked in Japan, and even gave birth in Japan, I feel like I'm low-key a little qualified to actually tell you guys a little bit more. I want to be real and honest in this video because I don't want to tell you the dream. I don't want to sell you Japan through these rose-colored glasses that I actually got sold when I first came here. When I first came to Japan, I thought, wow, Japan sounds like a perfect country. People are polite, things work, they have electricity, there's employment, and this will fix a lot of my problems, which is a very big misconception, because if you had problems back home and you think moving abroad is going to come solve those problems, you couldn't be wrong. You couldn't be so wrong, because a lot of foreigners end up coming to Japan thinking Japan is going to solve all their problems, but it doesn't. They end up being depressed. They end up just feeling even worse than what they felt like in their own home country. So in today's video, we will be talking about the pros and cons of living in Japan and what life is really like in Japan from an expat that has lived here for 2 years. And hi, if you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Bradley. I go by Zero African Muslim media platforms, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment down below if you are a foreigner living in Japan, or if you are someone looking to come move to Japan and you found this video interesting. Let's share our opinions with each other and just talk. Don't forget that everything that I'm going to be saying in this video is based on my own personal experience, my own personal lived experience in Japan, and I do acknowledge that other foreigners' experiences might be different from mine. Some people might have a great time, some people might even have a worse time living here in Japan. And you know the saying goes that traveling to Japan is great, amazing, but living in Japan is totally different. So let's get into it. Let's get into the pros and cons of why living in Japan might be or might not be for you.
I got it, that's what you got it. I got it, yes I do.
We are going to be talking about the pros of living in Japan first, because why not? So number one pro of living in Japan is that there are more work opportunities. The unemployment rate in Japan is very low compared to my home country, which is South Africa, and finding a job in Japan has been proven way easier than it is back home. I spent about almost 3 years looking for a job back in my home country, and it was so difficult to get a job, and when I did finally get a job, it was very low paying and it wasn't that great. So when I first came to Japan and I lived here, I think in 2 weeks of me applying for a job, I got a job interview, I got a job offer, and basically I got employment. So that's how easy it is to get a job. Mind you, there is a disclaimer. Obviously, it is easy for you to get an English speaking job if you don't speak Japanese. So I'm sure there are even more work opportunities if you do have a very high level of Japanese speaking skills. I have very basic conversational level to get me by in the country, and I only mainly focus on English teaching jobs. So if you're looking for English teaching jobs, it's the easiest, fastest way you can possibly come to Japan. So that type of employment is very high in Japan. Number two, transportation is very efficient. The public transportation here is so efficient compared again to my home country, which is South Africa. Back home, our trains don't really work that well. Our taxis also don't really work that well. We also have a problem with requesting car rides, like your Ubers, your Bolt, and all of those things. There's so much drama surrounding those type of transportations. So here in Japan, their trains work efficiently, their taxis work efficiently. Obviously, like their taxi structure here in Japan it's very different. I think it's probably controlled by the government. I'm not entirely sure, but a lot of their public transportation is controlled by the government, and it just works perfectly. It's always on time. Even if it's late, they're always apologizing and they're letting you know what's going on. There's constant communication. It's great. It might also be ineffective if you want to go to a specific place, obviously that's where you request a ride to go drop you off at a specific location. But those type of rides are actually kind of more expensive here in Japan. But their public transportation is the best. It's so great. They even have a Shinkansen, a bullet train, which just gets you from one side of the country to the next, like, so quick. So everything about their public transportation is chef's kisses. They have buses, they have trains, they have cars. It just works. It just works. And seeing it work here in Japan makes me really sad about the fact that it doesn't really work that well in my own home country. I wish that was the case, because so much of South Africa could be way better than what it is if their public transportation was not what it is right now. Number 3, the safety. Yes, Japan might not be top 10 safest country in the world, but it is so safe here. I've come back home at midnight. No one touches me, no one talks to me, no one does anything. People are just on their way, minding their business, and they leave you alone. I'm not living in Tokyo, I live in Kyoto, so maybe it's different here, because I've heard stories of people saying that maybe Shinjuku area is not super safe in Tokyo, but in Kyoto, I have not had an experience in the 2 years of living here of someone coming to bother me, steal my stuff, being hijacked, being kidnapped, being stolen, being burgled, or anything like that. No one has even broken into our house or anything of our possessions being stolen, or me being put in harm because of other people. People literally keep to themselves and they respect other people. So in that sense, compared to South Africa, it is way safer in South Africa. People just walk around with their phones in their hands. People walk around with their phones in the back pocket. People walk around with their bags open. I've also adapted the culture of just being careless with my things, because it is so safe here. When we go to restaurants and there's like a table, we go put our bags with our phones and our wallets and everything in there. Residence card, passport, money, it doesn't matter. You go reserve that table by putting your bag there and going to go order food, and you come back and your stuff is still there. No one touches it, nothing. And if your stuff does get lost, you can always go find that stuff, because they keep it for you. Nothing gets removed from your purse, your wallet, nothing. So I like that fact about Japan, that it's so safe and compared to South Africa. Yeah. So when I came here and I saw how safe it was, I was very shocked, because I was like, why? Not why, but like, just why? Because I obviously grew up in a different culture and a different country, so I was very shocked about how safe it is here. So it's very safe in Japan, in my opinion. Number 4, I want to talk about the healthcare. In South Africa, the healthcare, obviously you have like government healthcare, and then you have private healthcare. Private healthcare is very, very expensive. Government healthcare is not so expensive, but it doesn't work as quick, if you know what I mean. So in Japan, how the healthcare is structured here is that the government covers 70% of your bill, and then you pay the remaining 30%, which makes hospital visit, hospital stay, hospital anything relatively cheap compared to my home country. An example I will give you guys, which shook me to my core. When I did give birth here in Japan, I did not pay for anything at all. If anything, the government gave me a bunch of money for giving birth in Japan, which like altered my brain chemistry. Because if you saw my previous vlogs, I spoke about how I'm working for a year, I'm saving money so that when I do deliver, I have money to cover my hospital stay, all of these things, because I wanted to stay in a private room by myself and not share, have meals and all of these things and whatever. I got all of that, which if you compare to South Africa would be you giving birth in a private hospital, staying there for like 2-3 days, and then you paying like 30,000 rand or something like that. I stayed in a hospital for about 10 days. That amounted to almost 50,000 South African rand, and I did not pay any of that. The government covered it, because there's like a subsidy that covers birthing and all of those things here. And on top of that, when I was pregnant, my hospital visits and my gynae visits and my obstetrician visits, I also got coupons where the government actually paid a portion of my visits, which is just mind-blowing. I've gone to the dentist a couple of times here, and I end up paying something stupid like 80 rand or 100 rand for like that whole thing. I did like teeth fillings, cleanings so many times, and I barely pay anything. So yeah, their healthcare here is so good and so great, and it feels like it doesn't really discriminate against other people. Obviously, I'm not Japanese and I would not really know what's happening with them specifically, but if you are a foreigner and you come to Japan, you live here and you work here and you have a work visa, the national health care system covers you, which is really great, and you don't have to worry about getting sick or all of those things. The other thing is, it might get tricky when it comes to the language of it, because obviously stuff is in Japanese, which is where you have to maybe put in a little bit effort of learning the language so you can speak basic conversational Japanese. But there are doctors that are in English. They're a bit far out, but there are doctors that are here that are in English, or you can actually hire a translator who can come help you for free. So there are resources around living in Japan that are actually made to help foreigners live a much more seamless life to a certain extent here in Japan. So yeah, the healthcare system is really, really good, and I can't fault it. I can, although fault it for the mere fact that I got paid a bunch of money for giving birth and they covered everything. I'm just like, wow, count myself lucky. So yeah, number 5 of the cons is the cost of living in Japan is much lower compared to other first world countries. So if you compare it to the US, the UK, maybe Australia, and all the other first world countries, it is much, much lower here. If you compare it to my home country, some stuff are cheaper and some stuff are expensive. So yeah, the cost of living in Japan is very cheap. If you talk to Americans and they tell you, oh yeah, no, this is like $3, and you think, what? In their country, it's probably like way more than what they are paying for in Japan. So it makes sense why a lot of foreigners are coming to live here in Japan and work here in Japan, because of the cost of living being so low. The other thing is, in my home country, stuff costs around the same, but we're getting paid a little bit more in Japan to work here. So things are not so expensive for us, even though maybe the prices might be comparable, if that makes sense. The rent that we're paying in this apartment, I think I told you guys about, we're paying the same rent that we paid back when we lived in like East London or something, but because we're getting a little bit more salary, the cost of living is made a bit lower. So yeah, the cost of living in Japan is low, relatively speaking. So now let's move on to the not so good parts about living in Japan. And again, this is my lived experience and what I've experienced obviously living in Japan. The first con is there is no work-life balance. Especially now that I'm a mom, I want a good work-life balance, and there is nothing like that. The reason why I did not choose to go back to work after I gave birth is because of that. I came back home at 7 p.m. at night. I left the house at 6 a.m. in the morning. My husband comes back home at almost 6 p.m. also. So when would we get time to spend with our son, and when would we get time to cook and do all of these things? There's just no work-life balance. And then the work culture here in Japan in general is so toxic. It's so toxic. You're expected to go to work just to help out other workers that are there doing overtime, and it's just too much. I remember the one time, here's an actual real example. The one time we had to go to work on Saturday because teachers of a different grade had to go there for graduation ceremony. Even though the kids in my class were not graduating, I didn't need to be there. I was not there to do anything. We still had to be there because they're like, oh well, the other teachers are coming to be here and it's unfair for them to come by themselves and all of those things. Even though we had nothing to do, we were not helping with the preparations, we were not helping decorate, we were not helping with anything. We were just there. We just expected to be there and sit there and look busy until it was time to knock off and then go home, which annoys me. I don't understand that about Japanese culture in general, is that you won't have work to do, but as long as you look busy, then it's considered you're working really hard, which I don't understand at all. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that can be done and compacted into a few hours, but it's not. It's dragged on an 8-hour day or a 9 to 5 type of day, and commuting from work to your house takes so long that you spend like 3-4 hours on the road a day. which irks me so much. So there's a lot I have to say about like just toxic work culture and the fact that the managers that you work with in the companies they're not nice people. They're really not nice people. If you come to Japan and you work for companies and people are like super nice and kind, always take that with a grain of salt, because they have this thing called tatamae. I might write it on the screen, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but they have this outward kind persona which they present, which is not their real feelings, because when they turn around behind your back they'll actually say your real feelings. And I don't like that, because for me, I am so used to just being real and honest and communicating my feelings as is and my concerns as is, not like trying to sugarcoat it, which goes around in circles and then say what you want to say. Then it's very passive aggressive. Like, they're very passive aggressive. So there's working time, it's not the best. Passive aggressiveness at work, the work environment is also not the best, because there's so many things that are low-key outside of your scope of employment that you have to do extra at the company, which doesn't make sense to me, about why they don't hire cleaners to clean the company, why you as the worker must work and expected to deliver on deliverables and then still clean the company, clean the toilet, clean stuff, do the kitchen, like it's like you're at home but also working at the same time. It's like, why am I doing all of that? I don't get it. So yeah, their work culture here in Japan is not the best. I really don't like it, and that's my personal experience. That's also the general consensus with other foreigners and also other Japanese people. They also don't like it. Number 2 in terms of cons is natural disasters. My country is not natural disaster prone. We'll get a flood here and there, we'll get a heavy rain here and there, but we don't have earthquakes, landslides, tsunamis, tornadoes, you name it, anything that has like ring of fires, volcano. We don't have that stuff. My point is, we don't have that stuff at all. And when it does happen to you for the first time as a foreigner, and you don't speak the language, mind you, so you also don't really know the procedure of like what to do. So that's one thing I will advise you. If you do come to Japan and you live in a country, because sometimes you get put on an island and you'll be surrounded by water, and then if you get an earthquake and then there's a tsunami, so please know where to go when such things happen, because they're emergency evacuation areas. Maybe sometimes they're mostly schools where you can go sit on top of the building and like maybe be safe from such things. But please don't be like us, because when we got our first major earthquake, we did not really know what to do. We panicked a lot. Our building was shaking. We didn't know what to do. We didn't have an emergency earthquake bag packed. That's another thing you need to do, like pack an emergency bag with your passport, money, food, water, toilet, disposable stuff, that if something bad does happen, because this country is earthquake prone. There's literally an earthquake happening right now as I'm standing, I'm pretty sure. So just be wary of that kind of stuff. Like, the earthquakes are not nice. The rain also, it destroys things. Like, you'll see like whole houses get wiped out because of like heavy rain and all. It's just too much in general. So yeah, when we came here, we researched that Kyoto is prone to natural disasters and stuff, but it's not as bad as like, you know, the Toyamas, people that are basically by the ocean or on the ring of fire or on the, you know, the tectonic plates or something. So yeah, our area is neutral, but we still get natural disasters, so that's not nice. I don't like that at all. Number 3 of a con is the language barrier. As much as everything in Japan, you can fake it till you make it, trust me, fake it till you make it, but the language barrier will become a problem with more serious things, you know, because you never know what will happen. Like, you never know. Even with us, like, getting pregnant was like maybe out of a realm of possibilities when we came to live in Japan, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, we're here. Please study, because there's a lot of things that you have to do in Japan where you have to call, and when you call, it's in Japanese. And if you ask them, "Eko daijoubu desu ka?" which means like, can I speak in English? Is English okay? They're like, no. And then when they do speak to you in Japanese, if you know basic Japanese like I do, because I went to school for 3 months to go study at least like conversational Japanese, they use keigo, which is formal Japanese, and they speak super fast. So you're like, like, slow down, please stop, I don't know what you just said, which is really, really difficult and challenging. So the language barrier can get frustrating, because also when you're going shopping, that's the thing that's the most annoying, is that maybe there's a sale, but because it's written in kanji, because we know like hiragana, katakana, like basically all, but stuff is written the way you study Japanese, and the way Japanese is like in the country are two different things. And I hate that so much, because when we got here, I was like, okay, we got hiragana, katakana, maybe a bit of kanji, we've got this. No, because they don't put a kanji and then they write the hiragana, katakana on top like they show you when you study. So in terms of like grocery shopping and sales and things that are happening around, you will not know what is going on, because stuff is written in kanji and you don't know kanji. So it gets frustrating, because you're missing out on a deal that you could have gotten if you knew kanji. So yeah. The other thing is healthcare is also in Japanese, and sometimes they use like, again, formal Japanese and you don't know what they're saying. So that gets really frustrating when you do stuff, when you do paperwork, when you do hospital visit, when you do even your mundane basic shopping. You have to just stick to one grocery store and you're like, you know what, I know what this is like, I'm just going to stick to this one and just be. And also making friends because of the language barrier, because some Japanese people really are friendly, contrary to what I believe, and they actually want to make friends with you, but like sometimes their English level is not that great and your Japanese level is not that great. So I'm like, now how must the friendship work? Because they really do want to be friends with you, and then so I would suggest that before you get to Japan, always make sure that you study the language and you get to do the listening. The listening is much more important, because when I worked at my school, I was so fortunate enough that I worked with babies and they spoke a lot of Japanese instead of English. So I picked up on baby Japanese. I picked up on the most basic baby Japanese ever, which is not maybe the greatest Japanese ever, but I'd always ask my coach teachers like, what does this mean and how do you say it like in proper Japanese? And they'd always teach me. So for that year that I worked there, they actually taught me some of these things and phrases and languages, which helped me get by so much better. I feel like I was less frustrated when I understood even just a little bit. It helped, but the language barrier can be very frustrating to a point where you decide, maybe I don't want to live here. Number 4, this one, I wanna fight. I wanna punch someone. I wanna punch something, because the bureaucracy in Japan. Why? Just why? Why? Everything, and I mean everything. No, like everything is paper based, and everything you must go to the office of. You must. It's so frustrating. So I've had to deal with immigration a couple of times, and I've gone to the ward office a couple of times. And sometimes when you ask them for something specific, they can't give it to you. Why? Oh no, just because it's like that. There are no exceptions in Japan. You cannot change anything that, even if it's right there, like you cannot change anything in Japan. If they decided like this is how things work, this is how things work, okay? And in terms of like immigration, for example, if you're switching from one visa to the next visa, the thing that's so frustrating is you go there, you apply, you wait there for 5 hours for nothing. Low key, I don't want to lie, because with how things work, Japan is efficient. Like their customer service is efficient, but they will make you wait. Like they will get stuff done, but they will make you wait. And it's like, why am I here still? I don't get it. And then on top of that, instead of paying directly at immigration, you have to go pay at a post office, buy a sticker, bring that sticker back to show them that you did pay. The next time you come, and then you will get a letter in the mail that tells you that you please come to the immigration office. They don't even tell you if your visa has been granted or not. You have to go there in person, and then they'll tell you, oh no, your visa's not granted. And then now you have like 3 months to panic and fix things. Not even 3 months, I think probably like 2 months. They tell you the number of days to the T. Panic, and then either fix it or leave the country. And while you're applying for all of the stuff, technically speaking, your visa is invalid. Like you're in the country illegally at this point. Stuff like that. It's just like, why? And then if you do move apartments, that's the other reason. Like, I really desperately wanted to move apartments. I didn't want to live here per se. I would like to live like either in a standalone house or in a different place. But if you move apartments, you can't just automatically go online, change your address on your bank, change your address on this and this and this. No, you have to go to each and every place and go do that manually. And then all of that stuff takes like, oh no, we take 10 days to process, and then we'll let you know if stuff is processed or not. Why? Like, just why? Just why? Canceling stuff also. If you want to cancel anything in this country, the bureaucracy and also the expectation of everything is a phone call. Like, there's this unspoken rule that everything in Japan is just a phone call, you know. If you knew how to speak proper Japanese, I'm sure that would not be a problem. If you want a book, we came here with that's the other thing. We came here with international driver's licenses, right? Wanted to convert. You can't just book a thing online and just go. No, you have to call to make an appointment, and the appointment has to be for that day, later on that day. And the bureaucracy in Japan is insane, is what I'm telling you. And I don't know, like, it kind of feels like it keeps the country, like, it feels like Japan is being held back, like they're stuck in this era of, like, in the olden days. For it makes no sense. It makes no sense why. But maybe because there's like a lot of old people here, they try to accommodate them, maybe. But I don't understand why sometimes you can't just send documents via email or have a system where you apply stuff online. Even their websites, oh my god, I swear their websites are made to be trash on purpose, just to make it so difficult that you have to go there in person. My last one, alongside with bureaucracy, because that's something I had to do too, which irked me so much. When you want to do something with the bank, they always want to like take time to process. I wanted to do an online payment, and the online payment was like a big payment, right? My bank refused. It's like, no, you can't do this. So I go to the bank and I asked them, like, hey, I want to pay, but like, why is my limit set to this amount only and I can't pay more? They're like, oh well, we can change it for you. No, they didn't even say they can change it for me. They said, you can change it all by yourself on the ATM, but that's just for withdrawals. I'm like, no, I want to make an online payment. Like, but for what? I'm like, what do you mean, but for what? Like, every time you have to do something personal in Japan, you have to tell them what it is. Like, there's no secrecy in terms of stuff like that you want to do. If you want, like, there's no secrecy. There's no secrecy. So you have to tell them exactly what you want to do, provide proof of that, and then they will help you. And then when they help you, they're like, oh no, you can just call and then they'll change your limit, blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't want that. My second thing about the bank is I wanted a bank statement. In South Africa, you know, you can just email yourself your bank statement from your banking app. You can just go print it out, or you can go to the ATM, click click click, print it out, it's fine. No charge even, it's even free. In Japan, when you want a bank statement, you have to go to the bank, you have to request it, you have to fill in a form, and each and every time, let me tell you this, you better know your address, because it doesn't matter where. It doesn't even matter if you're getting a cell phone contract, you're cancelling something, you're withdrawing money to send someone money, but you always have to put in your name and your address all the time. Like, the amount of times like I've had to insert my address, I'm just like, why is this necessary in this? Like, you already have my details, why am I putting it in again? Like, you know me, you know. So you have to know your home address by head, by heart. It must be you are it, because you have to fill in all these forms to get your bank statement. Fill in a form, do all of this, blah, 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 blah. Provide your residence card. If you make a photocopy, give them this, give them that, give them your bank book, and then they'll tell you, oh, you can expect it in the mail after 10 days or so. Why can't you just print it out right there and just give it to me? Like, where is it going? Who is going to approve the fact that I have to get a bank statement of my transactions in my bank account? Why? Just why? So that kind of stuff irks me. And then to add a little bit a cherry on top is that when you do open a bank account, man, you get a card that just allows you to withdraw cash. Doesn't tap, doesn't swipe, nothing. You just withdraw cash. It's a cash card. In order for you to get a card like a Visa or a MasterCard or something, you have to apply for it. A lot of people actually use Rakuten or something, which I think allows them to do more, but I use the JP Post, and by luck we actually do have a card that taps and has but you have to apply for it extra for them to give you that card, and it also takes a long time. You have to deliver it by mail and give it to you and all of that stuff, right? And then on top of that, they did not have a banking app for a long time. Couldn't check your balance, couldn't check how many transactions came in, came out, whatever. If you want to do that, you have to physically go to a JP Post, which is like out of the way. Insert your little bank book and it'll type it out for you, and then you can get to see what went in, what went out, how much you have left, and all of that, which is very inconvenient. Luckily, in the last 3 months or so, they actually developed an app, but it's not the best. It's still not the best. You can increase your withdrawal limits, online payments, and all of that stuff on the banking app, but it's still not the best because it's a Japanese website. So yeah, stuff is made to not work on purpose. I don't know if they don't want their people to do stuff. That's like, I keep asking myself that, like, do they not want their people to do stuff? But yeah, so those are the couple of things to consider when moving to Japan, what it's really gonna be like when you come live here. So